but it occurred very abruptly over a period of at most a million years, but most likely maybe even less than tens of thousands of years. It's hard to tell. And if such a thing existed, you may ask yourself, okay, what is left behind from that technological civilization if it existed on Earth? Okay? Things that were left, for example, on the surface of Earth would have been mixed by now with the interior because there was a lot of geological activity. By the way, if you go back that far, you could have driven a car between Australia, Europe, Asia, America, Antarctica, because all of them were parts of the same supercontinent that existed back then. Earth was very different. You know, John Lennon has this song, Imagine, where he imagines all the entire world living as one. The world was one back then. When the dinosaurs roamed the Earth, there was one giant continent. But the point is that if a technological civilization existed, anything it left on the surface of the Earth could have been buried by now, although we could have found traces of it in some remote locations. But if they had, for example, satellites or technological objects that orbit the Earth, they would not be affected by what happens on the surface of Earth. So, you know, you could imagine that maybe there are things near Earth that have been around for a while. Another possibility is that someone visited the Earth when we were not around and left things. And, you know, it's also possible that complex life on Earth was seeded by an interstellar gardener. Someone came and initiated processes. For example, more than 2 billion years ago, the Earth did not have much oxygen on it. And then suddenly, cyanobacteria, one type of bacteria, started becoming very prominent and produced the oxygen, increased the oxygen levels in the ocean, then in the atmosphere. And this was a sudden transition that is not fully understood. Perhaps that transition occurred because of a visit. We think of life on Earth as being isolated from what happened elsewhere. But we know that rocks from Mars reached the Earth and could have carried life. We might all be Martians. So when SpaceX will try to bring people back to Mars, it may be just like going back to our childhood home. And there could have been microbes that made the opposite trip from Mars in the interior of a rock that landed on Earth and initiated life on Earth. Or it could have been also intentional. If another technological civilization wanted to seed the Earth with complex life because they had it already before us. This process is called Panspermia, the spreading of life from one planet to another. And it can occur naturally as a result of exchange of rocks between Earth and Mars. There is evidence for one rock that wasn't heated to more than 40 degrees Celsius, starting from the surface of Mars as it was chipped off by probably an impact, and then reaching the Earth and going through the atmosphere like a re-entry vehicle, and then eventually landing on the Earth. The interior of that rock was not heated to more than 40 degrees Celsius, and that could have preserved life in that interior. We know that the temperature didn't rise more than that because of the magnetic properties of this object.